3 years ago, around when I was 26 years old, I decided to go on a solo trip to Denmark for my birthday, and I got this upper respiratory infection that a week later it turned to this weird tingling in my throat that at first was just annoying, but it felt like basically a bunch of sand was stuck and moving around in my throat and my ears, and it was just kind of a pain. So I went to the doctors after the initial upper respiratory infection a few weeks later, and by June 2019, speaking and all the nerve pain in my throat, it started to become so excruciating that I remember being on vacation and I was like, I can't even talk to people anymore without pain, sorry. And I was limiting all my plans with friends. I started just text messaging to communicate, and that got really scary. So that started a journey of just visiting, starting in June 2019, about 45 doctors as of 3 years ago, the past 3 years, and about 10 of the first doctors in 2019, and between that period into the fall, they agreed that they think I had what was called glossopharyngeal neuropathy and vagal neuropathy, which if they sound foreign to you too, it sounded really foreign to me. And that was just a scary diagnosis because they tell you that it's very rare and that it affects 1 in a million people, because mine seemed to be atypical according to Western medicine, so not caused by a compression in the brain, but because my chronic pain was 24/7 and it was all throughout my throat, and not just localized to one side. That's considered atypical. So you don't want to be 1 in a million or atypical. And they also, about 10 of those top doctors, in the beginning, they would reference it and call it the suicide disease, which was really scary and something that you don't want to hear. And I think before then I'd been so happy and like never had depression in my life, and when something like that just hits you all of a sudden, like whack, it's like, okay, universe. But I became really, for the first 4 months, suicidally depressed, and I'd never felt that emotion in my life, and I had to quit my job because reading hurt, and I was just every day I would say to my parents, if this doesn't go away within a year, like, please just let me die, and I'd be sobbing on the couch. And it was along that 4 months, and then I started seeing other doctors, and I ended up getting about 4 throat surgeries, ketamine infusions, which is the date rape drug known as initially, but used to treat pain, and that doctor was really empathetic, but it didn't take away my pain, and none of the prescribed like 30 different medications, not one of them changed anything, or in my mood, honestly, I felt better off of medications. So yeah, after all of those throat surgeries and clinical trials I was enrolled in with all these new technologies, none of that worked. So anyway, I started to feel pretty hopeless and discouraged, and I had met a friend he had the most similar symptoms to mine, nerve pain throughout the throat, hadn't been speaking for 4 years, and he found Dr. Joe's work and then kind of similar work, and he hadn't been speaking or walking, as I said, even because his had spread, whereas mine spread to my face. His was his entire body, but he also had been to all those visits that didn't help and started doing the work himself, and he's 100% healed, and we became really good friends. So that was, we were talking when I was still in that process of getting all the surgeries, so I was still stuck in that kind of fight or flight mode that Dr. Joe talks about, and I kept thinking, well, this is really inspiring, and I kept going back to it, but also thinking, well, you know, maybe for him this was just a miracle, or he got lucky, and it was mine some other cause, and that can't happen for me. So that was exactly a year ago or so, and then about exactly 2 months ago, so really recent, January, I don't know why, but I had 2 of my worst pain days ever, and I was just at home again with my parents, feeling kind of hopeless after all the failed clinical trials, sobbing, and feeling really down on myself. So my dad they said, do you want to try the ketamine tablets you were prescribed like a year ago that I just hadn't really taken because none of medications I don't really like, they don't seem to help. But I was desperate, so I took those, and while high on the ketamine, and I've never done drugs in my life, just alcohol, never even smoked weed before I got sick or smoked at all. Dr. Joe's name ended up popping in my head. I don't know why, and it sounds like wacky, but it happened, and I said, let me just check this Dr. Joe guy out again. And I read his story a little bit, and then I started listening to his audiobook, You Are the Placebo, and I finished that within, I think it was like a night or two. I was so kind of excited, or more hopeful. And then I listened to Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Reading the books, you start to see the science and how that really can happen. And so I did that, and I'd never meditated in my life before this. I listened to his instructions on it, and after reading the books and listening to that over and over, I started doing the space meditation and the placebo, and I thought, wow, if I were to describe this to friends, they'd think I was going crazy or to prescribe new medications. But just having experiences when he's saying, you're in space and feel the emotions you'd feel when you're in a situation that would make you feel that way. I was feeling extreme gratitude and joy, just pure joy that if not the past 3 years, I definitely had not been feeling that emotion at all. And I think I hide it pretty well because invisible illness is hard to, friends would say, you talk the same and you look the same, but I hadn't inside been feeling the same at all. So it was definitely joy, and I would be sobbing and just crying with joy for the first time instead of with despair and sadness. So that was really, really cool. Like I said, I've only been doing this work for 2 months, and I signed up for Cancun because I said, okay, even though I'm doing this every day on my own, I'm a person who's always like structure, so I gotta go in person and go to the events. And I was feeling so much joy and gratitude and really getting into the meditations. And one of them, a woman in the audience, started laughing, kind of where you can't help it. And so then I joined everyone else subconsciously, and I started bursting out laughing. And just what was really cool about that moment that was surprising was that that was the first time in 3 years that I was able to laugh without any nerve pain throughout my throat. And I started that walk where it was, we learned the new breathing technique. Initial technique is just hard for me because when my breath will get up to my throat is where it gets completely caught, since I haven't been able to breathe in this area. And it's where I feel 1,000 like tiny knives, the nerve pain stabbing me throughout what seems like every throat tissue. So so I was like, all this meditation is great. The one thing it would be cool if the breath, if I could just breathe without pain, because that's not a good way to live. And so I started the walk, and he said, just keep thinking about yourself as your future self and walking as that. And I didn't mean to get emotional. And then I was just thinking about how it would feel, not picturing how it would happen or anything, but if I was completely cured and I was able to make that phone call to my parents and to tell them that, and walking along a beach and just watching everyone else doing the walk and feeling so much love for them and everything around me, that was a really good emotion. And then I got to the end where you do the breath once again that we had learned yesterday. I started moving it up and all the air, and that was the first time also in 3 years that I was able to take a deep breath in through my throat, which I was like, maybe I'm just, I tried to not get too into my analytical mind, but a few times I kept doing it, and I was able to do that without pain too for the first time in 3 years. And I was doing it multiple times and just sobbing with joy because he says to lie down on the ground, and I was crying, and I was actually, again, just kind of subconsciously laughing out of joy and crying at the same time. And it's not to say that, my symptoms have disappeared. I want to be clear about that, or that I don't still have negative emotions, even as much as I know we're supposed to keep living as our future selves, which I plan to do the work every day and just keep doing it. So I don't want to say, I was miraculously, which that'd be cool too, but it's just two really amazing baby steps that not 1 out of 45 doctor's visits that has happened or had had those experiences. And looking back, I also now see how all of that kind of ramped up my fear and stress and increases your pain when you're getting 107-degree heated needles in your neck. And now I'm here at this place where everyone's just happy that other people are healing and positive, and the science is so mind-blowing. So it's just been a really amazing experience, and I'm really excited to keep going.